Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Scouting 5, recapping scouting news from around the world for the week of November 18th, 2024. I'm Scouter Ken, and I'm once again recording from St. Albert, Alberta. First up, a little programming note, or not so much a programming note as a podcast merchandise note. I've been rethinking the idea of a podcast neckerchief, and if you've been following on Instagram or Facebook, I don't think I posted this to Twitter just yet, or X, I guess it's called now. But I have been reworking neckerchief designs. I think I've come up with a winning design, and I have reached out to Scout Gear, a company here in Canada that produces custom Scout neckerchiefs, to get a quote for what a production run of 25 or 50 neckers will cost me. And once I have that, I will make them available on the Scouting Stuff website. Haven't quite figured out a price. That'll depend on what it costs per neckerchief. And then, of course, there will be shipping on top of that if I have to send it somewhere particularly far away. But unlike the last time that I tried to do this, which is more of a crowdfunding model kind of thing, just to gauge interest, this time I'm just going to buy a bulk order of neckers, however many that is, and make them available to you. So if you haven't already, please do check out the design on the Facebook page or Instagram, and let me know what you think. Right, now, on to the news. It was, of course, JOTA-JOTI about a month ago, and over the course of that event, there was a new activity this year called Hike the Planet, which I guess saw more than 6,000 scouts from around the world take part, collectively hiking some 70,000 kilometers. Quoting scout.org. More than 6,000 scouts around the globe grabbed their boots and water bottles and braved the outdoors to take part in Hike the Planet, a new activity launched for JOTA-JOTI 2024 that strengthens young people's commitment to environmental action, conservation, and protection. Over the JOTA-JOTI weekend, scouts from 82 countries logged a staggering 70,000 kilometers, almost doubling the collective target of walking the circumference of the Earth. By recording individual walking milestones as part of a shared mission to hike around the world, the Hike the Planet activity illustrated how scouting can inspire and empower young people to be stewards of eco-friendly habitats and engage with the environment. In addition to trekking and connecting with nature, scouts got involved through interactive challenges featured in JOTA-JOTI's Activity Hub. These included learning to cook meals using solar energy, understanding how windmills generate energy, and even creating solar-powered art. End quote. I usually struggle enough just to get my group to do anything for JOTA-JOTI, so I didn't really have a chance to encourage them to take part in some of these other activities. But I think if I'm able to keep things moving with JOTA-JOTI with my group in the years upcoming, I think I'm definitely going to have to, make sure to pay more attention to the Activity Hub for the event, because there is a lot of great stuff there. If you haven't ever checked it out, please do. It is legitimately amazing, some of the stuff they come up with. And it really does go to show that this is one of the largest events, the largest international scouting event that happens every year. Speaking of which, I think this was another record-breaking year for JOTA-JOTI. Quoting yet again scout.org. JOTA-JOTI 2024 was an event to remember with a new record and 736,000 scouts registering on WASM's platform to come together for the world's largest digital and radio scout event. This year's theme, Scouts for a Greener World, inspired a weekend of global connections, learning, and environmental action. Scouts from all around the world united to share ideas and take meaningful steps towards sustainability, showing that our scouting values know no borders. With participation from scouts from 164 national scout organizations, JOTA-JOTI also offered countless opportunities for young people to explore diverse cultures and make new friends. Through video calls, chat rooms, and interactive sessions, scouts connected and shared experiences. This fostered a truly powerful and unique sense of community, bringing young people together in support of a greener, more connected world. End quote. And just a few thoughts from myself. So, 736,000 scouts registered on WASM's platform. That is in and of itself a record, but it probably also means that participation was correspondingly record-breaking. I don't have those numbers in front of me, at least not in this article, but I can tell you that all of the scouts that I helped connect to JOTA-JOTI, and I was at a camp of about 100, 150 youth, that came together at the very last minute, and so I didn't actually have a chance to register with WASM. We just logged in, got online, and took part. And I'm sure that that was probably the case for a lot of other people too. I mean, obviously, everybody who was going around collecting JID codes would in theory have registered or would have a JID code of their own to share. And that is what registering on WASM's platform gets you, among other things. But no doubt there were many scouts taking part who were not registered. And so the total number of participants in JOTA-JOTI was likely higher than 736,000. More recently, it was evidently the centenary of scouting in Brazil, and they celebrated by lighting up so if you're familiar with Brazil, of course, you're probably aware of the big statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro. And I guess they arranged to do a little bit of a custom light show on the Christ the Redeemer statue. The photo in the article, you'll have to check it out in the show notes, but it does rather look like the good Lord is wearing a scouting neckerchief. Quoting scout.org. Scouting has long been a beacon of leadership, community service, and environmental stewardship. For over a century, it has empowered millions of young minds worldwide, fostering values of citizenship, teamwork, and respect for diversity. In this spirit of worldwide unity and dedication, Scouts of Brazil marked a historic milestone in 2024, the 100th anniversary of União dos Escoteiros do Brasil. With over 90,000 members, the Scouts of Brazil is not only one of the largest national scout organizations, but is also renowned for its impressive post-pandemic recovery, demonstrating resilience and adaptability and continuing to engage youth in transformative experiences. To honor this century of impact, a grand celebration was held on the 3rd of November, centered at one of the most iconic symbols of Brazil and its global heritage, Christ the Redeemer, in Rio de Janeiro. Scouts, leaders, dignitaries, and members of the community gathered together in a shared moment of faith and gratitude. This event paid tribute to generations of scouts who have contributed to building a more equitable and caring society over the past century. A special commemorative projection illuminated Christ the Redeemer, symbolically draping the statue in a scout scarf. This gesture highlighted the profound connection between the principles of scouting and shared human values of peace, unity, and service. The projection underscored Brazil's significant role as part of world scouting, celebrating its substantial contributions to youth leadership and social responsibility. The celebration in Rio was the pinnacle of a year filled with special initiatives, including the release of a commemorative medal by the Brazilian Mint and an ambitious environmental project to plant 100,000 trees, reinforcing the Scouts' enduring commitment to sustainability and environmental protection. End quote. And again, do check out the link in the show notes. There is a picture of the projection and Christ the Redeemer in Scout kit. It's quite interesting. If you live in a Commonwealth country, you probably marked Armistice, Day or Remembrance Day last week. If you live in the US, it was probably Veterans Day, if I remember correctly. And in either case, Scout groups are often active at this time of year and encouraged to take part in whatever celebrations are ongoing. Around Edmonton, we have a number of Remembrance Day celebrations that Scouts arranged to take part of. Scouts are, of course, encouraged to wear their uniforms to school for any school-based Remembrance Day ceremonies. And in Veterans Day, in the United States, Scouts generally take part with wreath-laying ceremonies at local war memorials or military cemeteries or cemeteries where soldiers are interred. I'm going to only include one article in the show notes, this one from Wilton BSA Troop 125 and American Legion Post 86, just as an example of the sort of things that Scouts do get up to honor those who gave their lives in war around this time of year. And I haven't commented on the Scouts BSA, Scouting America abuse scandal for a while, so another article in the show notes, one that might be worth checking out, concerns Norman Rockwell, because Norman Rockwell, famous painter of American life, probably the best way I can describe him, was heavily inspired by the Boy Scouts. And so maybe I'll just quote CTV News here for a little bit. In one Norman Rockwell painting, a family proudly welcomes a beaming Boy Scout home from camp, his duffel bag in hand. In another of Rockwell's achingly idyllic works, a Cub Scout stands on a chair to measure the chest of his older brother, a Boy Scout, who has taped his fitness record to his bedroom wall. Many of the works from the Boy Scouts of America's collection are as interwoven into American life as the organization itself, having been featured on magazine covers, calendars, and even used to help sell war bonds. Next week, the works will begin to be auctioned off to pay the compensation owed to tens of thousands of people, mainly men, who were abused while in scouting. The collection of more than 300 works, including dozens by Rockwell, is estimated to be worth nearly $60 million, a tiny amount in relation to the organization's multi-billion-dollar bankruptcy plan. Campgrounds and other Boy Scouts properties also have been sold to help pay the survivors. End quote. So, not the happiest news, but it is interesting that the scandal has become so far-reaching that it even touches on, some of the most famous works by one of America's most famous painters. Meanwhile, over in the UK, and it strikes me that I've mentioned this before. I don't know if it was in a Scouting 5 or if someone I was talking to talked about it, but the Scouts and HSBC UK are launching a new key aspect of their partnership to help Beaver and Cub Scouts build financial literacy skills. Quoting the Lancaster Guardian, HSBC UK's network of volunteers is anticipated to reach over 14,500 Beaver Scout colonies and Cub Scout packs across the UK over the next few years, including visiting weekly meetings and running one-day workshops in locations such as Lancaster. The new volunteering program comes after Scouts worked with HSBC UK to develop their Money Skills Activity Badge, the first of its kind. More than 150,000 young people have earned their Money Skills Activity Badge since 2021. Georgie Howarth, program manager for the Scouts HSBC UK volunteer program, speaking at the launch of the badge, said, "When we launched the Money Skills Badge back in 2021, we knew that we had met a key need in young people's development, and this volunteering program takes the delivery of these skills to another level. Having a network of 200 skilled and enthusiastic HSBC UK volunteers working alongside our Scout leaders across the UK gives us an opportunity to help young people better develop these key life skills. It means that where Scout leaders lack confidence in subject knowledge, they can tap the local expertise available in their communities to work with them, and young people won't miss out." End quote. And end quote. Maybe it was Liam Burns who was talking about this, or possibly James Woods. One of the two people that I've interviewed recently was definitely discussing like the HSBC program and some of the other programs that the UK Scout Association fosters of this kind. It had to have been Liam Burns, actually, I'm almost certain, where you recognize the talent that you have within your volunteer pool. But then if you don't have that talent, the national organization brokers all of these partnerships with different groups, like a bank, like a shopping chain, to basically give you access to an even larger core of volunteers that can run very targeted, relevant life skills type programs for scouting youth. Now that I think about it, now that I put it in those terms, almost certainly the Liam Burns episode. Maybe I'll include a link to that in the show notes too. And if anybody from Scouts Canada National is listening, it's a really good idea. We should do this. And finally, one cheery little note from, I believe, the UK as well. Quoting, MSN.com, and I'm not sure where they're pulling the story from, but it's charming anyways. Two baby beavers, officially named Bobby and Barry by children, including students and Scouts, have been the first born in an area of Britain for over 400 years. The kits were born in an enclosure at Ewhurst Park, Hampshire. The first time beavers have been born there since the 1600s. Footage captured from the wildlife cameras has shown the two brothers starting to learn how to gnaw and fell trees. End quote. So kind of a fun little story to end on there. Always happy to hear of wildlife making a rebound in areas where it has not been thriving for a while, and especially beavers. And it's kind of cool that they let Scouts contribute to the naming of one of the beavers. It doesn't say whether Barry or Bobby was named by the Scouts, but either way, pretty cool. And that is all the news I have for you this week. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, be prepared.